Hello and welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. We're back today with stage 18 of the Hachette Partworks release of Build the U96 U-boat. So, what are we doing in stage 18? Well, we're working on the bow compartment. So we're fitting some more bits to the bunk section, adding some rails. I believe there's something for the front aquaplane as well. But yeah, it's a bit more detailed than the last one. So yeah, without further ado, let's have a look at what comes in today's pack. Okay, so in pack 18, we have the plate for the bow compartment. We have again kind of central, almost mounting point. We have, it looks like ladders. I'm not entirely sure what they are, but they definitely look like ladders. I think they're the bunk frames, to be honest with you. We have this, which is the kind of struts for the bunk frame. We have the torpedo plate. We have compressed air bottles. Let's check there's nothing under here. We have 2 EP screws. We have the bow hydroplane drive. And in here, the bow hydroplane linkage. So yeah, a fair wee bit to do in this one. More than it looked at first glance, I might add actually. So let's see what we're doing first. The first thing we're doing is going to be building the bunk frame. So we need these. Now they're marked A and B, and it's easy to tell. A are the ones which have these kind of studs on them. The B ones don't have that. So first thing to do is cut all of these off the sprue. I'm just looking to see if they should be flat at the end or if there should be a stud, but no, they should be flat on their end. So we don't need to leave any protrusions, because the length and tolerances, as we've already seen on this model, are very, very tight. So if you leave too much on, things ain't going to fit. But equally, if you cut too much off, things ain't going to fit. So, yep, empty sprue in the bin. And we need the bunk frames. As I say already, I have my glue. I have my glue applicator, which is just a hand drill that doesn't turn very well. That's why it's been used as a glue applicator, and a straightened paper clip. So what we need is these 3 frames looking just like this, and we're going to be attaching them to the bunk area. So what we need is one of the B frames looking just like that, and with the shorter bit facing this way, we're going to be fitting the bunk frame in there just like that, with again that orientation with a kind of smaller gap pointing what's going to be down the way. So just dot a little bit of glue into these holes here, thusly. And again, it's important that all of this lines up properly and it's all straight, because if it doesn't, when you come to put it together, it's not going to work either, which isn't going to be ideal. And then the next thing we're doing is getting one of the A-frames. And the way it goes on is with that peg facing up the way. So I'll show you, I'll test fit it just to show you, because that glue will be dry by now. It's going to go on, I'm just going to glue it in. It goes in like this, with the peg facing upwards. I'll show you once I glue it on. Because again, these pegs are what's going to attach onto the studs for the bunk, if you remember from last time. So there we go. Fit the frame in, and just make sure that peg is facing that way and that it's straight, because if it's not, as I say, we're going to have problems when we come to fit this to the bunk section that we created previously. So now what we're doing next is taking another one of these pieces and fitting it in to the A-frame that we just put on. Oh dear, now that was so tight it just pulled the A-frame out of where I just glued it to. That's not so good. Put it back in, let the glue set for a second. I will drop a little bit of glue just in case, but one of the pins on the end here, as you can see, has a little bit of flashing on it. Now I could try and sand it, but it fits, so I'm not going to, because then you do run the risk of damaging it. I don't want to do that, especially with parts this thin. And then it's going into the other A-frame, which is going to have its stud in the same orientation, facing up the way, again because it's going to go into the other side of the bunk. Make sure there's enough glue in the actual hole, because that's where the majority of the contact is being made. Again, in there, and make sure the stud is pointing this way, so it should look just like that. Then taking the next section of framework, I think you can see the pattern here. I'm going to this time put the glue on the studs rather than on the holes, just because hopefully that will get more of the contact surface. It's going to go in here. Again, a little bit of flashing on that one, so it goes in with an audible click. Just hold it in. Oh. And because of the shape of the flashing, it's actually trying to pull the top out, which isn't helpful. Not helpful at all, actually. 2 seconds, I'm just going to hold this one in place until that top piece sets. There we go. No, it's still not sitting properly, so give me 2 seconds. There we go. And then the final B pillar goes on the end of the frame. And that looks just like that. And that is what your bunk frame looks like when it's all done. Perfect. So the next thing we need to do is bring the bunk over, this section here that we worked on, and those 2 pegs are going to go into those 2 holes, and there are 4 holes along the bottom there that the poles themselves are going to fit into. So I'm just going to give it a test fit just to make sure everything lines up, and it does. Perfect. That's good. Because obviously you don't want to start putting things together and then find when you've got half it in that the other half doesn't line up. So put a dab of glue in each of these holes, and then in these 2 holes as well, because they are where those pegs are going to go. Okay, so again, line these pieces up one at a time. It's good fishing. Then line these pegs up here and push them in, and that should look just like that. I think that looks really cool. Brilliant. Now the next thing we need are the compressed air cylinders, and like the torpedo propellers, they come as a matching pair. So I need to get my sprue cutters, just see where they get cut from. Yep. Always important to check you're not cutting off a necessary fitment tab, so it does make things much more difficult. of flashing, just get that off. Again, a little bit of flashing on the end there. Empty sprue, goes in the bin, and all we're doing is gluing these two sides together, like that. Perfect, a nice audible snap as the sides go together. And then we're doing the exact same with the other compressed air tank. Again, empty sprue in the bin. Now, as you can see, one of these holes is hexagonal, which I think is designed to help with the fit and make it hold a bit better. But it went together quite easily, so I'm not sure how effective that hexagonal hole is with these particular pieces, but the glue will hold them tight anyway. And then they are being fitted to this deck here. And the way they're going is with this side with a point on it facing that way. Okay. Now it says to glue these in. Again, it's hexagonal holes, but it does tell you to glue them. So glue them I shall. And they both go facing the same direction. They're not horizontally or vertically opposed. Again, that goes in just like that, and then the one behind it in exactly the same manner. The fit on that one's a lot tighter actually, so I'll set that back down on the mat. This one doesn't want to go in. Hang on. There we go, that's it in. Now, you will go into position, you do not have a choice in the matter. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's what the compressed air tanks look like. Okie dokie. So now we're done with the bunks for now. We need this section here, and we need this piece here. And essentially what we're doing is we're putting it upside down, so we give it a wipe. Then we're taking this piece and it's going to fit in to these holes just like this. Yeah, just like that. Okay. So we need to fit this in here, so get some glue in the slots. And that's it. It doesn't contact anywhere else. As I say, the instructions aren't all that clear and it's black on black, which makes it all the more difficult to see. Yep. Again, just lining the holes up. You need to make sure it's sitting straight. If it's off at an angle, it's not going to look very good. And, as I mentioned earlier about very tight tolerances, it won't fit when you go to line it up with the bow section, because that's coming in the next couple of stages, where we put everything together. And if things aren't at the right angle, like that, it's not going to fit. Perfect. So now we need to get the other two pieces, which is the hydroplane drive and the elevator linkage rod. And basically, looking at it, it fits in here. Just push fit, and it goes in like that. And then turning this piece over, this piece, yes, that we've just glued in, turning it over, we're fitting this into this little indent here. So what I'm actually just going to do, I was going to dip the end in the glue, but I don't think that would work as well, looking at the shape of it. And it's not that tight a fit. So it's going to go in just like that. And once I'm convinced that's held, I'll set it down. And the next thing I need is this plate. And I'm trying to look which way it's going to go round. It's going to go this way round with the indented side facing inwards. And that piece runs through there. These two, oh well, maybe it doesn't. 2 seconds. It has just popped out of its mounting point. There we go. So again, it goes in just like this. There's a round piece at the bottom that needs to line up as well. See what I mean about everything needs to line up perfectly or things don't fit? This is what I was talking about. There we go. And now that that's all lined up, it's going to be held into place with one of the EP screws that we got in the pack. Get my screwdriver. Make sure it's all lined up. There's nowhere really to get a good grip to put this screw in. And I would have thought the indented side would be the side the screw went into, but it's not. The indented side is the other side. So that looks just like that. Then the next thing we're doing is taking the 4 torpedoes and lining holes up with pegs. Now again, it will depend on the tightness of the fit. If it's a nice tight fit, I might not glue these down straight away. I might leave it till later. It is going to be a nice tight fit. There we go. So again, line up all the holes with the pegs, get all the torpedoes properly into place. That one doesn't look right, does it? The one at the end. It is, but it doesn't look it. But yeah, that is what the torpedo compartment, oh, I suppose actually if you look, that's a different shape to that there. Okie dokie. So that's what the torpedoes look like. I'll set them sideways so you can see them. That is what the bunk section is looking like. And that's everything there is to do in stage 18. So that's us done for stage 18. You can see that's what we've made. That's the compartment for the torpedoes. We have added more details to the bunk section. Now just a small preview, you can see, I can't resist when you see where tabs go. That's going to sit kind of like that. So you're going to be able to see from the visible side the torpedoes sitting underneath the bunk section. Now yeah, I think that looks great. Now again, it's a little couple of stages before we get to put all this together and see exactly how it's looking. But yeah, you can kind of get an impression already. I just think it looks great. Big smile. So what we're doing in stage 19, a hull piece. That's it. We are just extending the hull out, and that's us for stage 19. As I say, stage 20 is the big one where we get to put everything together and see how good our creative skills have been when we've been piecing everything together, how well we've fitted all the bits. And as I say, with that bit there, with fitting that end plate on, it was a bit fiddly trying to line everything up, so feeling a little bit nervous, but I'm sure it'll be fine in the end. But yeah, thanks for watching. As always, feedback, comments, criticisms, complaints, drop them down below. Do leave me a like, because it does help out massively. Can't tell you how big a help it is. Comment as well, let me know what you're thinking, and subscribe for the rest of the U-boat, the rest of the Titanic, the rest of the Lancaster, and possibly something new coming too. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and as always, peace out, everyone.